All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Teeth. Today we have the one and only Dr. Patrick Anghel. Patrick, if you don't mind, just tell us a little about yourself, where you're practicing at, and kind of what you're up to now, and we can kind of just go from there.
Yeah, definitely. So I live in Las Vegas. I've been here since 2019 when I graduated. So never moved anywhere else after dental school, just straight to Vegas. Worked as an associate for a couple years. 2021 ended up buying a practice through DSO and then sold it end of last year, kind of October, November, around that time, end of September, early October. And now I'm working as an associate for about 4 days a week and doing marketing.
Yeah,
So it's been awesome
awesome.
and it's been quite the journey to say the least. A lot of
Yeah,
expectations of like how things were going to go. Didn't necessarily go like that until a lot of other things in terms of like doors opening
For
up
sure.
and you walk through those doors and things have been great that way.
That's awesome.
And I think that's the beauty in dentistry. I don't think you can really say
mhm,
that about a lot of professions that you have
yeah,
Yeah, that gives us some
different
hope.
opportunities. Yeah, it definitely
For
should.
sure. So, with the beginning of your journey, let's start there. Where'd you go to dental school, and what kind of got you into dentistry?
Yeah, dang. So what got me into dentistry, I'll just keep it short.
For sure.
Spent a lot of time in the dental chair when I was a kid, just
hmm
tons of cavities. And I really wonder, looking back now when I like see my own patients, how many of those cavities actually needed fillings, how many actually needed crowns
Yeah,
versus being able to just reverse that back into healthy tooth structure.
sure.
But
hmm
anyways, I spent a lot of time in the chair. The dentist was pretty cool. And I'd always had this knack for business and finance and things like that. And one of my closest friends' dads, he's a pulmonologist. And I remember like
hmm
senior year in high school, he sat me and my buddies down and he's, if you guys go into healthcare, go down the route of dentistry because you make just as much money as doctors, but you do a
hmm
lot less. And it's the perfect fusion of business and
Sure.
healthcare. And throughout my entire time in undergrad, I really started to see that more and more as you learn about the profession, that there
hmm
really is no other profession that has that perfect fusion of business and healthcare. And I
yeah,
think those two things always really appealed to me.
Sure.
And yeah, so I went to school at Detroit Mercy,
Okay.
got into a couple schools, ended up there, and now I'm in Vegas.
Yeah. So, how was your
sweet.
education at Detroit? Did you feel pretty prepared coming out? I know from what I see from afar, it seems like a pretty good school. But what was your experience like?
You got to look at like dental education to there's like a line that was drawn during COVID, right? And
Sure.
there's the
Oh yeah,
pre-COVID education and there's the post-COVID education. And I think a lot of people in dental school after COVID or who started dental school, let's say like 2021, they
hmm
have this belief that their education is vastly inferior compared to people who went to dental school before COVID or graduated before COVID or like during the
hmm
year of
I
COVID.
see.
And in reality, I think that's not the case. Like my school and schools, when I went to school, basically every single school around that time, the education in terms of the amount of procedures you were doing was not really that much different from
yeah,
people, say 2023,
Right.
right? So I think it's just the like overhang of COVID, the cloud of COVID hanging over people's heads
For sure.
really
mm
psychs you guys out believing that your guys' education is just vastly inferior. When in reality,
hmm
ours is the same, but it is vastly inferior from 5 years before. And before like when I graduated.
Sure.
And I'll give you an
hmm
example because my class size is 144,
Right.
right?
hmm
And about 5 years before that, it was half of that in the
Oh
70s.
wow.
So you're
wow,
doing a
yeah,
lot
A lot more
of
work.
dentistry. Exactly. A lot of dentistry. You have a lot more interactions with faculty. And
Interesting.
then at the same time, around 2016, 2017, and then definitely going into COVID and after COVID, you saw the dental school
hmm
really try to clamp down on just education as a whole. They really wanted a lot of foreign trained dentists because you don't have to pay them anything. They hold them hostage. and the quality of the education went down. It's easier to
Hmm.
control them versus a private practice dentist who works 2 days a week, is just dropping knowledge and
Yeah.
doesn't need to work at the school.
Sure.
The pure love of teaching and teaching the next generation of dentists. And I think you had a lot of those factors kind of
Yeah.
start to happen 2015 and afterwards.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't know. Education more or less was okay. I did a lot of extractions because of demographic. I never
Hmm.
did one molar root canal. My first one was working with an actual dentist.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the complaints about dental school in general, just you just don't do enough no matter where you end up going. So I feel like that's pretty universal among any dental school. Like when you mentioned in molar endo, I have a story about a guy who graduated from our school. His first day out of private practice, he did his first ever molar endo,
Yeah,
first procedure.
yeah.
It's just crazy whenever you think about it like that. But you mentioned that you had gone to Detroit. Were you originally from Las Vegas? Is that what kind of brought you back here, Vegas?
No, I actually grew up in Southern California, and because of went to school there, went to undergrad there, and then was like, look, it's time to leave California because if I ever want to go back, like I have my friends, I have my
Sure.
family, there's an anchor, there's something to go back. But like
Hmm.
the way I looked at dental school was you're never going to have another opportunity where you have a certain level of responsibility but you're
Hmm.
still a kid. At the end of the day, we don't have the responsibility in dental school as somebody who is working and has to pay for
Right.
everything on their
Right.
own. So it's like
Hmm.
it puts you in an uncomfortable situation where you're forced to learn and grow as an individual while you're still a child at the end of the day. And I thought that was the
Hmm.
perfect opportunity to just leave the state of California and just learn about the world and learn about teeth in a different place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you went to Vegas. You said you worked as an associate for a few years and then got into ownership. How was that? How'd that kind
Yeah.
of play out?
The transition from
Yeah.
associateship to ownership. I mentor the guy that I currently work for right now. I connected with him in dental school, and he's got a bunch of practices in Vegas and Texas and Utah and all of that.
Hmm.
We vibe really well, and
Sure.
I was like, "This is the guy I want
Hmm.
to work for," and ended up coming out to Vegas to work for him. I worked as his associate for a couple years, and then
Hmm.
an opportunity to transition into an office that was an existing office, and
Right.
the girl that owned it, she was moving to California because she literally married like a rocket scientist. And their whole thing was whoever makes more money, we're going to go to whatever state. And the
Yeah.
reality was there's not really a lot of rocket science that you can do in Nevada.
Sure.
And he was working in
Yeah.
California. So they went there and I think he's making $700,000 a year at the time, which like, let's be real, not really any dentist makes.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
she packed her bags, sold, and they moved there, and I took over the practice.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was partners with him, and then did that
Yeah.
for a little bit. And yeah,
That's awesome. So what has been your biggest headache from transitioning into ownership where you're like still like even battle today that's like a headache that you encountered?
like ownership,
Yeah, just is it
like
like marketing that like is just hard to tackle? Is it like managing employees? What's something for you that you think is one of the most difficult things once you transition into ownership, at least initially?
I I think you have this idea of how things should run, but
Hmm.
like you never really know how it plays out until you're in the fire doing it yourself. You can listen to the greatest minds
Sure.
talk about business, of any dental office, but like you only really have the theory. And
Hmm.
the theory helps a lot, but it's you having to go through it and make the decisions when things go bad, when there's a time that an absolute decision needs to be made a day or something like that, or an exact moment in time. You never really learn until you go through it yourself. And then I think at that
Hmm.
point, and you have to be willing to like listen to those who have gone through it before, seek advice, be really, uh, don't close yourself off to others who have dental offices and who have
Hmm.
successful and not successful offices. Ask for everybody's advice
Sure.
because lots of times you can learn from the failures of others, and you want to
Right.
surround yourself with those who are good and that
Hmm.
you can trust. But I think the big thing is office drama.
I can
It's
imagine.
managing
Oh
personnel,
man.
right? I think
Yeah.
I was pretty good about that because I had a lead dental assistant who uh, she was significantly older than the other assistants. She had a lot of
Sure.
experience. She was no bullshit.
Hmm.
And I think that really set the tone. And I think creating a core group with your office manager, your lead dental assistant, and yourself,
Hmm.
regularly meeting and having tough conversations and holding each other accountable. And what I mean by tough conversations is you can say to somebody, you're not good at this, you need to change this. But I think it's
Hmm.
asking them, be honest. I'm not going to get offended. Tell me what I did bad. Tell me what you think I need to do bad. I need to
Hmm.
hear the cold heart truth. And if you can sit there and take it from them and apply those changes, if they do need to be done, I think that's
Hmm.
the biggest thing, probably being humble.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Having open communication between you and your team, like that's the most important thing in order to get optimized patient experience, have the best results for them and for you too. So kudos to you for implementing that into your office because I know certain dentists feel pretty prideful in the things they do and they sometimes take it for granted. So it can be pretty tough for them to kind of look at themselves and ask for other people's opinion.
Yeah, that's definitely the truth. And I see that running a marketing company and interacting
Hmm.
with a lot of other dentists who we help out. And
Yeah.
I was actually on a phone call earlier with somebody that we may potentially start off with today. And I was letting him know, I was like, we have good clients, we have bad clients, right? Bad clients
Hmm.
are the ones who think they know it all. They don't want to listen to us. They just want to continue to do the things that obviously weren't working. And then you have those who listen and do the things that we as a marketing company recommend. And then what I went down talking the rabbit hole I went down with him afterwards was like, and it really gives you a telltale sign of probably the practice that you're running as well. If you don't want to listen to us, you probably have a lot of conflict in your office, not wanting to listen to other people there. And lots of times you need to take a look at yourself and see, am I the problem? Am I
Sure.
the one that needs
Right.
changes, or is it something greater?
For sure.
Hmm. Pat, you had mentioned that you have a marketing company. You want to go a little into that? Is it helping practicing dentists out and whatever they need? Or could you just kind of explain it, what it
Yeah.
is?
So, like, I was in a situation as a practice owner where I wasn't getting a lot of patients, right? That's a DSO's responsibility.
Right.
And I
Hmm.
was not getting what I felt was needed to be able to run an office
Hmm.
efficiently with multiple doctors and all this. So, I've been doing marketing and I guess social media for I think 9, 10 years at this point. And
Yeah.
I always had a knack for it. But I said to myself, I was like, look, I'm going to try to figure out how I can get patients into my office. So my business partner and I, actually a good friend of mine, and his fiance is a dentist. So he's not, but he
Hmm.
understands dentistry probably better than almost anyone who isn't a dentist.
For sure.
And so
Hmm.
we were like, okay, let's see if we can do this. Just see if we can make things happen because he's the website builder guy, does all that type of stuff. So we're testing a lot of different things out, trying to sell courses to help people sell more treatment or get patients started
Right.
on treatment. And learned a lot from that. And then, really, during that process, learned how to market online to get patients as well. So it was very
Hmm.
effective. I started to get a lot of cosmetic patients that way. And I was like, okay, let's see if we can replicate this and roll this out to other dentists. We did. And at this time, I was honestly becoming frustrated as an owner. I was like,
Hmm.
this is starting to work out. I don't like how like the DSO is not letting me market the way that I want. I'm not getting things that I
Yeah.
want. And I'm like, no, it's time to focus on this, sell the practice, and be an associate because I still love to do dentistry.
Sure.
And then that's when things really started to take off. And my partner and I, initially, we were working with like dentists to help them get more patients, and we still do. But then we started to realize like there's another niche. Dentists are finicky,
Hmm.
annoying. Let's be honest. Like they think they know it all,
Sure.
and that's what I was saying about the
Exactly. Yeah.
good clients and the bad clients. And
Hmm.
and I think in as dentists, there tend to be more bad clients because we think we know it all. So I
Sure.
was like, okay, him and I are bouncing ideas off, and we're like, dude, there's a lot of other businesses in dentistry that sell their services to dentists. So
Hmm.
let's market for them. So we started to make a transition where we work with billers, we work with dental labs, we work with dentists or somebody in the dental industry who is selling dental products to
I see.
dentists.
Yeah.
So that has actually been
Kind of
really
just,
awesome.
Yeah.
yeah, just broad spectrum, just all areas of dentistry, basically.
They're just way easier to work with too.
I
Like
can
Oh,
it's
imagine.
I can
unbelievable.
imagine. You don't have to explain it. I completely get it.
God, man, it's like a night and day difference.
Yeah.
And like we have a couple
Yeah.
clients who are dentists and we get them patients, but then a couple dentists who we help sell their product
Right.
to other dentists, but they're the chill ones. They get it. Like
Yeah.
they
Hmm.
understand it's like there's something else to be done in dentistry that isn't sitting in the chair trying to make money
Sure.
just day in and day out doing the actual
Right.
physical dentistry. And
Sure.
I think those ones are they're a little bit more business savvy. They're a little bit more open to listening to other people because they're trying to escape the chair as well.
Right. Which market that sells to dentists is like your ideal? Like what, I know you're pretty broad spectrum the way you explain it for who's selling things to dentists, but like what in particular, which particular area you think could benefit the most? Or have you seen the most success?
I think what can benefit the most are dental labs, right? Like we see success
Hmm.
all across because our marketing is we just dialed it in so well to target dentists very effectively. So we can make anybody get leads or sell their product or whatever.
Right.
But I think the easiest and the ones who are not taking advantage of it as much are the dental labs.
Interesting.
And
Hmm.
there is so much money that they are leaving on the table. They invest all this money in the technology. They already have the knowledge behind just how to run a lab, the nuances of like how a tooth should be prepped, a bridge, an implant, all
Right.
that different type of stuff.
Sure.
Like they're smart individuals, but they just don't understand how to get eyes on them.
Fair.
And you have a
Hmm.
couple labs who do it effectively. And I'm talking a very small number of labs and they get all the
Yeah.
clientele. And you have all these small startups, which are really good. Like these people are really good at what they
Sure.
do in terms of their
Hmm.
quality, and their quality is probably better because they're not seeing as many cases
Right.
come in. And
Hmm.
they still have this customer service that's really next level. But the thing is, for whatever reason, they're not taking advantage of social media and marketing. And the ones that
Hmm.
do, and or when they start to, like leads just come through the door. And you can blow up a dental lab to be something incredible. Like it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
So, could you mind just explaining or outlining the process in which, say, a dentist or like a dental lab reaches out to you and they're like, "Hey, I'll help with my marketing." What is it that y'all do on y'all side to help them you like maximize their outreach and audience?
We basically run paid ads. That's like the big thing. Like
Okay.
we do a lot of website stuff as well for them. I don't know if you
Hmm.
guys are familiar with some of the things that can be done to cause a website to rank higher.
Sure. Like SEO
Uh,
type of
Hmm.
stuff.
SEO related stuff, but it's like it's becoming even more interesting because you look at chat GPT and just AI search
Yeah,
engines and how they're
for
starting to
sure.
dominate, and what you need to
Hmm.
do to start to rank higher on those searches as
That's
well. So
interesting.
that's interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's very much the same as SEO, but very different at the same time. Blogging is going to start to become very
Yeah.
important again. So like we do analysis of their website, but we basically run like paid ads, whether it be through Google or Facebook and Instagram. I believe Facebook and Instagram is just the best. Like I don't think anything
Hmm.
comes close for those types of businesses because we have done it as dentists. You guys reached out to me on Instagram.
Sure.
So everybody's
Right.
on
Right.
Instagram,
Exactly.
right? And if you deliver ads where everybody's at, then
The
that's
right eyes are going to see it. Yeah.
exactly. And so we make sure like they see us because our ads are only getting delivered to people in the dental industry, and then we deliver ads the same way. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Pat, just a random question you might know. Are these labs, are they majority like dentist owned or private equity? How is that just out there?
It's a combination, right? So you have, I want to say, probably the biggest number of labs would be dental technicians who started their own
I
lab,
see.
right?
Hmm.
So you have that component. You have dentists who started a lab, and then you have private equity. So I think it's just kind of
Yeah.
those three. And honestly, if you want to do it right, if you want to just get high quality work, you should go down the route of either a dental technician or a dentist started lab.
Yeah.
And because private
Hmm.
equity, they just screw
Yeah.
everything up.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I was just wondering
Seems
too,
to be
like
the norm.
private
Yeah.
equity might have a bigger budget to be more receptive to the marketing that you're trying to offer versus a mom and pop dental office.
They do, but like they try to have a lot more control over that. And I'm not really necessarily about that at the end of the day. It's like I want to have more of the creative control. And at the same time, I don't mind if somebody wants to give us $10,000 a month to do marketing, we'll go ahead and we'll do
Sure.
that. But at the same time, a lot of those bigger ones, they're trying to keep their costs low. So it's like we have more work that we got to do, but they're looking for the same price
I
point
see.
as a lab that has maybe two locations or just doesn't have that many accounts. And it's like, it
Hmm.
doesn't work like
Sure.
that. Like, it's going to be a lot more work for us. It's going to be more expensive for you. So
Understandable.
Yeah, definitely. Pat, I like how you mentioned AI and how it's like becoming a pretty big thing in today's world. Is that something that y'all utilize for marketing purposes and stuff like that? Because I know for our case, like for clips that we make or even for editing this podcast, I'm going to use an AI thing to help me with it. So I'm wondering if there's any utilization of AI into y'all's company.
yes and no. Like the route of, because you use Google, you use Facebook, you use TikTok, like to run the
Hmm.
ads. So they're trying to push you down the route of using AI marketing. Like they're really heavily pushing that. And to be
Hmm.
honest, it's not at the point where it's good yet. Where if I only want it to get delivered to dentists or office managers, it's
Right.
only going to get delivered to them. I can set up an ad better. Another marketing company can set up an ad better to get delivered to them.
Hmm.
We're not at that point quite yet. I think more so
I
for
see.
content generation, I think that's where the value really lies.
Hmm.
I think if you utilize it in that sense, and my business partner and his team, they are the ones in charge of making the content. So they do a little bit of, they utilize AI in that regard, but there's not really that much of a benefit to AI just yet, if that
Yeah.
kind of makes sense. It's
That's
more
yeah.
so understanding how to market with AI coming into the picture. More like I was saying,
Gotcha.
Google searches are dropping and chat GPT searches are increasing. So how do you take advantage of things that way?
Yeah. And I was
Yeah.
going to ask you,
I see.
Pat, and feel free to say if you don't know, but you were mentioning some SEO stuff earlier with like Google optimization and things like that. For AI, let's just say ChatGPT, since it's one of the most prominent. If I look up like best dental practices near me, how does that like SEO model work? Or do you have any idea?
That's what I was really starting to look into last week, right? Because you do a Google search for Las Vegas and you do a Chat GPT search for Las Vegas, best cosmetic dentist. And dude, I'm telling you, like the cosmetic dentists that pop up on Google, they're like people that I know
Yeah,
to be like well-known cosmetic dentists in Las Vegas. I'm like, you see their billboards, I've heard their names. Every
Yeah.
dentist knows who they
for
are.
sure.
On ChatGPT, there were these people. I'm just like, who the hell are you? I've
Dude.
never heard of you. Like,
Yeah,
I don't even know if you exist in
yeah,
Vegas, but like they do.
Yeah.
And so going down the rabbit hole, it's the keywords they put in their website,
for sure.
it's social media presence, but it's a lot of backlinking,
I see.
which is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but that
Hmm.
kind of has a big role into
Really?
it. And it's more so, okay, let's say we have 5 companies,
Yeah.
right, that work together and they're all writing blogs, right? So this company right here deals with, let's say, toothpaste. This one right here deals with marketing. And then this one right here deals with prophy angles, right? So they all
Mm,
write their own specific blogs, but like on the back end, you link everything to each other. So now you rank higher
Yeah.
on like Google SEO search, and ChatGPT pulls from that. But here's one thing. Um, who owns a majority stake in ChatGPT?
Sam Altman, or a company was?
Yeah, yeah. What big tech company?
I don't know. Who is it?
yeah.
Microsoft. What is their search engine?
Google, is it? No,
No, it's
Bing.
Bing.
That's
Yeah,
right,
it's
Bing.
Microsoft Edge or Bing or
So,
whatever,
Yeah,
right? That's what they use. So if you want to rank
so,
higher on ChatGPT, you got to do things to rank
and
higher on
Bing.
Bing.
Okay,
Yep.
that's super interesting, and that sounds like something
It's super,
yeah,
that for your industry in particular is like really interesting.
it's not even just for like my industry, because you guys are
yeah,
going down the route of dentistry. You
Sure.
guys are about to graduate soon and maybe
yeah,
open up offices at some point in the future.
right.
And it's like what we're seeing as a whole, the trend for everything is Google searches going down, AI searches, ChatGPT, Grok, those things are going, right? So it's
Especially
like,
in these next couple of years.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's, if you want to rank higher, you have to like
Diversify a little bit.
hack that code right there.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
interesting.
And it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
because a good
different.
example too, and it goes with what you were saying, is about a week ago, we're like, man, let's diverse our podcast a little bit. And I was like, man, we haven't got any orthodontist on here. And I was like, let me go to ChatGPT and look up famous orthodontists on Instagram. And they would pull up
Yeah.
these like random profiles that like appeared famous because they had a lot of followers. It was just
Yeah.
like, it was an interesting group of people that it gave me that,
I'm gonna do that right now. I actually want to see
dude,
who pops up.
it was super interesting. It was some people I recognized and some I like didn't. It
Yeah,
was, I don't know.
What was it? Did
yeah.
you put famous
Yeah,
orthodontist
I
on
said,
Instagram?
yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Famous orthodontist on
All right, let's
Instagram.
see what comes up.
But yeah,
I'm
that's
Yeah.
all I
curious,
was like
man. I want to
trying to
see
reach
if I.
out. I reached out to a couple of them, but I was like, this is interesting to say the least. And it's way easier to search that
Yeah,
via ChatGPT than Google.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some of these names I've heard of, but others like Dr. Thomas Conley, he's not an orthodontist.
Yeah, nah,
Like, I don't know. That's how early we are in the AI game.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's something I never even thought about, to be honest, because I use ChatGPT a bunch in terms of like just like content creation and
Yeah.
everything else, but I never really use it for outreach or finding people. So I've never really been down that field of looking stuff up on ChatGPT or looking people up on ChatGPT versus Instagram or Google. So
yeah.
pretty
Dude,
interesting to
Pat,
see
it's
the
so helpful
differences.
too.
As somebody from the outside who
Yeah.
like doesn't really delve into that.
I'll think of somebody that like I met one time and I'll give ChatGPT a description of that person or just like anything related to that. Like I met this guy in like Arkansas who does this and he like does this and this, but I don't know his name. And then somehow it just pops up the guy. It's so cool.
It's crazy cool how it does
I
that.
know.
I use it all day, every day. Like
Yeah.
literally, my tweets are like crafted that way. A lot of my
Oh,
captions
100%.
are like, dude, everything
It's
is, and
so
it's
efficient.
like it's wild. You can just put in basically make this tweet go viral. Like, how would you
Yeah.
word this to
Yeah.
make it go as viral as possible, and it'll freaking do it.
Yeah.
Like it's impressive.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
That is
So,
awesome.
Pat,
Yeah. So,
changing roles a little bit. I know. So you've been a dentist for a little while, and you've had the opportunity to at least make some small, if not large, investments. And I know you're into crypto. How did that journey unfold?
Man, dude, 2016. So I was in school then, right? And I first heard about Bitcoin because I went to undergrad at UC San Diego. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that school, but it's one of the like top engineering schools in the world.
yeah.
And I knew a lot of people who back in 2010 10, 11, I started hearing about it. Every now and then people would be like, oh, you need to buy Bitcoin. You need to buy Bitcoin. And it's worth nothing at that point in time. And
Yeah.
you just never really think of it ever again. And then 2016, my best friend says, dude, I just got Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin. He's, dude, you got to get into it. And I was like,
Sitting on a gold mine.
yeah, I was like, okay, man, like it's time. Let's
Yeah.
do this. Like when I come home for winter break, because this was like maybe 2 weeks before, I was like, okay, you got to show me how to do it. Let's do it. And then ever since then, been doing that whole thing and made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. You learn what works,
Yeah.
what doesn't work. And yeah, you go from there.
For sure.
Yeah. That is crazy that y'all found out about it in 2016. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know when Bitcoin went mainstream, but I know it wasn't in 2016.
It was like 2017
So,
is like when it first hit
yeah.
like 20,000. I was a student, right? So I didn't have a lot. Like
Yeah. So it didn't put a lot of money. Yeah.
I didn't put a lot into it. It was already a couple $100 at that point anyways. So it's like I
Yeah.
couldn't really get as much as I would have liked to. 2020 was a good time because everything crashed.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it really just like tested your testicular fortitude and your belief into something because
sure.
Bitcoin
Yeah.
hit like 3,200 after it already
Yep.
hit. I don't even know what it was, what the all time high was at that point, but people are like,
Yeah.
it's gone, it's done. Like the world's burning to the
Yeah.
ground. And
Yeah.
if you bought a lot, and to be honest, I was pissed. I had $15,000 because I had just started working, right? So you don't have that much. I remember having $15,000 and I split half between crypto related
Sure.
purchases and the other half into Tesla.
Uh,
And cool, Tesla, yeah, it went up.
not that
Dude,
ROI.
parabolic run.
Not as,
Oh my
yeah.
God, dude. Yeah, I wish I would have just thrown it all on something in crypto instead of
For
so.
sure.
Yeah. So are you still a recurring investor in crypto or do you do more stocks? Like what's your
I don't do
portfolio looking like nowadays?
I don't do any stocks. It's just solely crypto.
Really?
Yeah, and
Is that? Is it just because you know that space pretty well now at this point?
yeah, I think it's because of that. It's the future. We're
Hmm.
having a lot more legitimacy. Obviously, there's scams and things like that still go on, but it's just a space that I know, and it's like you invest in what at the end of the day.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my marketing company just yesterday we made our first Bitcoin and Ethereum purchase. So half our
Congrats.
cash reserves are now in that,
Ah,
and so
That's
that's pretty
awesome.
cool.
that's
Yeah.
huge. That's betting on the
And
house right there.
I don't really think it's a bet or anything like that. I think it's a hedge
Yeah.
on what's happening in the world and
Right.
just the dollar and inflation and all of
Yeah.
that. And
Mm,
at the end of the day, it's like I've been tracking this since 2016. So at this point, it's for it to disappear, the world has to disappear. And at that point,
hmm
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If the world blows up, nothing really matters. I think it's a pretty safe bet. And that's like a
Yeah.
recurring purchase that we're going to make like every single month going forward. So
For sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, dude. Well,
Yeah.
congrats to y'all, man. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
So, kind of going back to the marketing company a little bit, you had mentioned that you're an associate now, if I'm thinking back correctly.
Yeah.
So, what's your future vision for your company? Is this something that you want to pursue full time eventually and retire from the clinical side of dentistry, or is this something that you're balancing with the day to day dentistry that you do?
I like the day to day dentistry. And I think it's going to become like less and less days over the course of time.
Hmm.
I was saying this to a couple of my close friends the other day. You need to work a certain number of days to get health insurance. So for me, like
Yeah.
I've already made this decision in my head. I will cut to probably 1 day less of that when I'm making enough marketing to offset the
Yeah.
cost of what
Right.
health
No.
insurance costs. So
Yeah.
we're heading in that direction,
Right.
but I still like doing dentistry, and it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
fun at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things are a lot of fun.
You've gone to school for the past 8, 12 years for dentistry. Why not practice? And it's good that you still have that, I wouldn't say love for it, but the fact that you still want to do it, even though you do have successes elsewhere. So that speaks highly, at least to me, for the profession that you're in. Makes me feel good about that.
I think one of the big things too with that is when you're not reliant on dentistry for your sole
Mhm.
income,
Sure.
that's when you're able to really put the patient
I
first,
agree.
because
Yeah.
you're not looking at that number of, I need to hit this to make this amount of money,
Right.
so I should push a couple more crowns, when in reality, or
Yeah.
just be a little bit more aggressive. I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful, and I see that happen a lot in healthcare as a whole, when people
A
have built their
100%.
own thing, and then dentistry, same thing, they've built their own thing, where they have other sources of income that's propping them up, where now they can really provide the care that needs to be done for patients. And I
Yeah.
think that it's sad that's what it's become,
Yeah.
but it's
It's a
beautiful
reality.
to see people be able to do that, because that's ultimately how you provide the best care.
I agree.
Yeah.
Pat, for your marketing business, did you come across any like super valuable resources that really spiked your marketing knowledge, whether it's like a podcast or book or something that just like, what kind of got you? Really?
Alex
He's a dog.
Hormozy,
Really?
He's in,
that
how
guy.
far is he from your office or his office?
So I live on the Strip, right on Sahara, Las
Okay.
Vegas and Sahara Boulevard. His
Yeah.
office is a mile and a half
I
away.
see.
It's like right by this In and Out. So like
That's
whenever I go to
awesome.
that In and Out and I pull
Yeah.
out, like
Yeah,
I literally see acquisition.com. So it's pretty cool. I
for
actually
sure.
met him and his wife at Whole Foods maybe about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was just walking in to pick something up,
Yeah.
and I was like, and I had somebody had just put me on to Alex Hormozy maybe 2 weeks before,
Sure.
and I was like,
That's
"Oh my
awesome.
god,
Yeah.
this is Alex Hormozy
Yeah.
and his wife
Yeah.
Layla," and I was like, "That's so freaking
Yeah.
cool." And I went up to them and was like, "Oh, you guys are awesome." And I think them, Alex Becker, I don't know if you know who that guy is,
Okay.
and then just you, uh, this one guy, he's very good at sales. His name's Jeremy Miner.
Hmm.
Mhm.
He's a really good guy to just listen to on YouTube. And then you
Right.
kind of just stumble down the rabbit hole. Gary Vee
Sure.
and all these other guys that you've
Mhm.
known about for, I think it's a combination of all those individuals.
Yeah, for sure. And two
Mhm.
things too that I really respect about Alex Hormozy is one, he's like exceptionally intelligent, like for the things he
Yeah.
does. He's not just like a guru, like good voice. He's like really smart guy. And then two, dude,
Yeah.
he exited and he's still at least 10 figures, like 100 mil, and he's still grinding. Like he's about the game.
He loves the grind, man. And you look at what you were saying was he's so intelligent. It's you look at the people he surrounds himself with, right? And so Alex Becker is like a close buddy of his,
I
right?
say,
I highly suggest you guys look into that guy. That guy's really cool.
really.
Mhm.
But it's, and then obviously his wife is like super into business and marketing. So I think there's just this like feedback that really just they bounce off each other, and it just elevates both their games. And I think that's rare,
Yeah,
if to have a partner like that who's in the same thing that you are, but
super
like
rare.
just as driven. Yeah. And I think that's probably a big component.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Pat, as we wrap up here, do you have any final advice for dental students who are about to go out in the real world and try to make something happen?
Yeah. For those of you that are going out into the real world soon, get your social media game on point, understand how it
Mhm.
works, just really start to build that up, because it is going to help you out like no other.
For sure.
I would not have a marketing company today with clients if I did not build that type of stuff years
For
before.
sure. Well, we
Mhm.
appreciate you coming on, man, and giving us some nuggets on the future of dentistry.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys invite me on. You guys are
Yeah.
awesome.